Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to Gamergy, and welcome back to our Little Nightmares character concept series. So in today's video we'll be doing something a little bit different. What we're doing is revisiting an old character from our previous videos, and the character that we'll be revisiting is the Diver. So we'll be having this character in a new scenario and also finding out what happened to them in their last video. And as always, if you could please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Alrighty, let's get into the revisit of the Diver. So the last time we saw the Diver, the main character found themselves at the Pale City Aquarium. As they explored the abandoned aquarium, they ran into the Diver, a large imposing character wearing an old-fashioned diver's suit. The Diver tried to capture the child, but they eventually got away. The Diver flooded the whole aquarium and unleashed some of its hungry sea life. The child got the best of the Diver and finally escaped the aquarium. As the water flooded into the gift shop, so did a hungry shark. The shark ferociously attacked the Diver as the child watched from the other side of the glass. It seemed that this was the last we ever saw of the Diver. It was never made clear if they ever did survive that attack from the shark. So we start off with the main character walking the streets of the Pale City. They've been living within the city for quite some time now. The child gets by, usually from scavenging whatever food they can find. But lately, they haven't found any luck gathering enough food to last them. They remember there was an abandoned grocery store not too far from their makeshift home. The only problem is, this grocery store is awfully close to the Pale City Aquarium. The child doesn't dare go anywhere near that horrible place, especially after what happened last time. But in this instance, they had no option but to pass the awful place in order to get to the abandoned grocery store. After travelling through the city, they finally come past the aquarium. As they walk past it, they glance over for a second and then quickly hurry towards the grocery store. They now find themselves standing in front of the abandoned store. Hopefully the child could salvage whatever food is left. As they approach the store, they see that the shutters are locked tight. They need to find another way into the store. They spot just above the shutters a small broken window. In this gameplay segment, the player would have to find a way into the grocery store window by using multiple different items to get their way up. The player could use boxes, trash dumpsters, or any other items to climb up. Once they've made their way through the window, they drop down and take a look at the dimly lit store. As they walk past all the shelves, they can hardly see a thing. They can roughly make out what's in front of them. The only things they come across in the dark are empty cans. They need to turn on the light somehow. They eventually come across an empty checkout. Behind the checkout is a door that says staff only. There has to be a power switch behind that door. When they reach the door, they soon realise that it's locked. The key to this door has to be somewhere at this register. In this gameplay segment, the player has to find the key that's hiding somewhere at this checkout register. When they climb the register, the only thing they can see is the dim light of the monitor shining down at the cash register buttons. The player would have to jump on the correct sequence of buttons to open the register. With so many buttons, a good hint would be to look for the 4 buttons that are more faded than all the others. After this trial and error puzzle, the player would finally unlock the register. And inside the tray lies the key for the door. Once they open the door, they see a large power control lever. The player pulls the lever and the store finally lights up. As they walk out, they look at all the empty ransacked shelves. But in the corner of their eye, they see what they've came here for. One can. One precious can left on the other side of the store. They exit the staff-only doorway and walk towards the precious can. As they do, they hear the shutters being forced open. They look behind them and they see a shadowy figure stumble into the store. The child quickly hides behind some shelves. The child can hear the loud boots walking on the hard floor. As they go to take a look who has stumbled into the store, they freeze in terror. It's them. They're back. The diver lives. They somehow survive the shark attack. The diver looks definitely worse for wear. Their suit is all torn up, their helmet is cracked and damaged, and they appear to be missing their arm. They must have lost their arm whilst fighting against the vicious shark. But it seems like they've found another arm. Or did they grow that arm? Or is this the diver's real arm? The child couldn't really make any sense of it. They watch as the diver slowly lumbers and limps over towards the precious can. The child watches helplessly as the diver grabs the can with their new arm and squeezes out all the contents into their exposed hole of the helmet. A disturbing chewing noise can be heard as the diver devours the food. The devastated and defeated child now has to look for something else. The child would have to quietly search the shelves for any other food cans lying around. In this gameplay segment, the player would have to be careful not to kick any of the empty cans on the floor. Any sudden sounds would alert the diver and they'd quickly rush over to the player's position and grab them. When the player gets grabbed by the diver, they could also suffer the same fate as the tin of food. The diver could grab them and eat them through the hole in their helmet. Whilst the player is quietly searching the shelves, they can hear the diver is right behind the shelf they're searching. All of a sudden, the disturbing tentacle pierces through the shelf and nearly hits the child. Before they know it, the tentacle rams through the shelf again in front of them. The child has to carefully sneak forward and be careful to not get hit by the tentacle that's piercing through the shelf in search of food. The child manages to run past the shelf and now finds himself in the fresh meat section. All the food here is far from fresh. All the meat is rotten and the fish are nothing but bones. All of a sudden, a large shadow looms over the child. As they turn around, they see the diver is standing right behind them. The child makes a run for it as the diver quickly chases after them. The child climbs up on the deli meat cutting bench to try and avoid the diver. In this gameplay segment, the player would have to run away from the diver whilst also carefully dodging all the sharp cutting utensils on the bench. At the end of the bench is a large meat cutting device. The child quickly crawls into the device to avoid being grabbed by the diver's strange tentacle. The diver places their creepy new arm into the machine to reach after them. The child reaches the back of the machine where they find a small switch. Right before the tentacle grabs them, they engage the button. Then all of a sudden, the diver's disturbing new arm has been sliced off. The diver groans in pain. The child notices the tentacle is still moving. It looks like it has a mind of its own. Then all of a sudden, the tentacle jumps up and wraps itself around the diver's neck. It's almost like the tentacle doesn't belong to the diver, and now it was free from their control, it wasn't happy. Whilst the diver fights with the tentacle, the child makes a break for it. They run through the store and back to the entry. The child would have to find somewhere else to gather food as the store has become far too dangerous. As they run through the open shutter and back onto the street, they look back at the store. They can see the diver approaching them. It seems that they've won the battle with the sentient tentacle. Just as the diver approaches the entry of the store, the shutter comes to life and closes shut. Then all of a sudden, they see a tin can drop down from the sky. They pick it up and feel that it's full. But where did this can of food come from? They look up above them and see a little shadowy figure. They can't make out who it is, but whoever it was very kind of them to share. Alrighty everyone, that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing, as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also helps you keep up to date with everything that we're posting so you don't miss a thing. And as always, be sure to comment down below what you thought of today's video and what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty, well, until the next video, I'll catch you later. Bye.